And our witness wishes to be known as
Darren.
Darren.
Please state your full name
Darren Rawson.
and repeat after me. I do solemnly, sincerely
I do solemnly, sincerely,
and truly declare and affirm
and truly declare and affirm
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the
and
truth.
nothing but the truth.
Darren, you were infected with hepatitis C in 1988 when you were 5. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I had a
Tonsillectomy.
Tonsillectomy, yeah. And they left a tag on the adenoid. And then obviously they took me home, my parents, and I hemorrhaged on the moving day of 1988.
Your family were just about to move house.
Yep, that's right.
You'd had the tonsillectomy, got home. 2 days later, you say you started to froth at the mouth.
Froth at the mouth, yeah.
And what happened next?
I was rushed to the hospital. And then obviously I was given a blood transfusion. I was rushed into theatre, and that's when they give me the blood.
So you were taken back to hospital for a further operation to sort it out, and during that operation you were given a transfusion.
That's right, yeah.
And you think it was about 2 pints of blood.
About 2 pounds.
Before the operation, was your mum, as far as you're aware, was your mum told about any risks associated with having a transfusion?
No, she wasn't, no.
In 2004, you started to have severe nosebleeds. Can you describe what happened?
Yeah, I was walking home from the town centre and my nose just burst. I lost quite a bit of blood. This was going on for about a week or so. And I just went for a checkup at my GP. And at this point, I'd found out then that I had hepatitis C.
So you had one huge nosebleed, and then a few days later another huge nosebleed, and it went on for about a week.
Yeah.
And you went to your GP, and he did a series of blood tests.
That's right, yeah.
When you were told by your GP that you had hepatitis C, can you remember anything else you were told? What did the GP tell you about hepatitis C?
Nothing. He was just going to refer me to a specialist, and that was the last I heard from him, really.
Were you told anything at that point about the risks of transmitting hepatitis C?
No.
You were referred to a specialist and seen about 6 months later. What can you tell us about that first appointment?
Well, they just said basically that I've got the hepatitis C. They'd have do a bit of monitoring, and that was really it. Really, that's the last I heard until probably about a year later.
At that first appointment, you've said in your statement that the doctor asked you a series of questions that made you really quite angry. Can you tell us about those?
Say that again, sorry.
At that first appointment, in your statement, you've said that the doctor asked you a series of questions that made you really quite angry. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah. Basically, he asked me how I could have got this. He asked if I was using drugs. Obviously, I wasn't. Never touched drugs in my life, other than prescribed. And that's how it come to light, and I got a bit angry at that.
The doctor asked if you were a drug user, and you responded by showing her your arms and saying, no, absolutely not. You were asked about whether you had a sexual partner, and there was a series of questions about tattoos as well.
That's right, yeah.
At that stage, did you understand that you might have been infected through a transfusion?
I didn't have a clue. It was only later on that I'd found out in the local newspaper. by a local chap, and then obviously Mum said basically, well, you had a transfusion in 88, and this is where it all comes to light. Where
Because we've looked at the medical notes of that first appointment, and there is a note that says blood transfusion with a star next to it. But as far as you were concerned, that wasn't discussed with you.
that wasn't discussed, no.
At that appointment, what were you told about hepatitis C? Were you told anything?
Not a thing, no.
Again, we've looked at the note of the appointment, and it does refer to telling you about how hepatitis C is transmitted. But you're clear you weren't told that.
That's right, yeah.
Why are you so clear about that in your mind?
I just know it wasn't true what they said.
You said that you'd had to go away and look it up.
Yeah, I had to go away and look it up myself to find out how you could catch it and stuff, and what impact it'd have.
Can you tell us what the effect on you was of that appointment, on your mental health?
Yeah, I tried ending my life.
That was a little bit later on in the time, wasn't it? That was 2011. But the very first time when you had that appointment, I think you said your head just blew.
My head just blew. I felt dirty. I was getting in the bath every hour or so, and I felt disgusted in myself.
Because at that stage, you didn't understand how you'd come to be infected.
That's right. Yeah.
And you've described that as the time when your depression started to set in.
When it started setting in, yeah.
You had a couple of further appointments with specialists at the hospital, but then you didn't attend appointments till about 2011. Can you recall what was happening for you in terms of your mental health during that time?
I just couldn't face up to knowing it, and I just wanted to get it all clear out of my mind that I never had hepatitis. And I just didn't feel right going to the hospital and finding if there was anything else the matter with me. You know, that's it.
If we can have document 1963008, please. This is a letter from the specialist, actually in 2011, but if we look at the very first few sentences of the letter, we can see that it says, this gentleman came to the clinic today together with his mother and his girlfriend. He was first tested positive for hepatitis C back in 2005. However, due to his anxiety and other problems, he didn't turn up for any further follow-ups and has now been re-referred as he now feels more able to face his diagnosis. Is that what was going on?
Yeah.
Periodically, from 2005 through to 2011, you were drinking very heavily.
I wasn't drinking heavily. It was just not as much.
More than recommended.
More than recommended, yeah. I just had to try and get it out of my mind that, you know.
We can see if we can keep the letter up, Paul, we can see on the letter there's reference in the middle of that first paragraph to you drinking 310 units of alcohol a week. In fact, you think that's a typographical error, and it was about 31 units of alcohol a week. But that by 2011, you'd cut it down to 12 units a week.
Yeah.
You've said, you've referred to it just a moment ago, that in 2009, 2010, your mum read an article in the paper.
That's right.
What did she tell you about that, or from that article?
Obviously, they knew about the hepatitis C. And it started to spring to the mind that this is where the hepatitis could have come from. So we sat down, had a chat, and started looking into it a little bit more. And that's obviously where it's all come out, that it was from blood transfusion.
How did that realisation make you feel?
I was angry. I was really angry about it, because obviously what they'd put into me.
You referred earlier to an attempted suicide in 2011. That you've said was really the lowest time for you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that time in your life?
Yeah, everything just got on top of me, and I just thought it was time for me to go, and I got a small bottle of vodka, drunk it and tried hanging myself.
You were rescued by a neighbour who heard a
That's right,
thud.
because I was living in a flat at the time, and she heard the thud. Luckily, my door was open, and she come in, she rang the police and ambulance.
And you were admitted.
And I was admitted to the hospital.
But you've also said that that moment was something of a wake-up call for you, and you realised that you needed to deal with the hepatitis C.
That's right, yeah.
And that's why we saw that letter a moment ago from 2011, where you had been re-referred for treatment. So in 2011, you then underwent some tests to see what state your liver was in. And 2012, you were offered some treatment.
That's right, yeah.
You didn't have the treatment at that stage.
No, because
Can you tell us why not?
I had a child on the way. So I delayed the treatment. And that's the reason why I delayed it. So obviously, there was too much going on. I didn't want to be poorly soon, when the baby come out. Didn't want to be poorly.
2013, your second child was arriving.
Yeah.
So again, you didn't feel able to undergo treatment then.
That's right.
And then there was a further short delay while you waited for Harvoni treatment to become available.
Yeah.
Instead of having to have the interferon.
That's right, yeah.
So you had Harvoni treatment in 2016 and you cleared the virus.
Cleared the virus, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the side effects were when you underwent the Harvoni treatment?
There was no real side effects to it, to be honest. It's more after, where my health has sort of deteriorated a bit.
Can you tell us about that? What are the ongoing difficulties that you're facing?
I've had pneumonia. Just my mental health has got a little bit worse, not as much, but it's creeping back up. I feel more tired. My memory seems to be going quite a bit to what it was before.
Described in your statement of having extreme tiredness, deep fatigue, your sleep pattern's totally unpredictable, and you're tired most of the time. You've had pains in your joints, itchiness, and you feel like your immune system's weakened because you constantly get coughs and colds and pneumonia.
Yeah.
And you also have said you suffer from brain fog.
Brain fog, yeah.
In terms of your mental health, what's that been like since you had the treatment?
It's been on and off. I can have my good days, can have my bad days. It's unpredicted. Going back a couple of weeks ago, I just went on a downer. I wanted to drive my car off a cliff.
And you found it very difficult as well to interact with the health service, with any doctors.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why that is?
So just don't seem to give me the support that I need. My doctors took me off all my medication. Because obviously he said it don't want to affect my liver. Don't want to give it any more damage. So now I'm just seeing a mental health nurse.
So you've been taken off your antidepressants because of concerns about the liver. But for you said to me earlier that was obviously causing difficulties with your depression.
That's right, yeah.
You've also said in your statement that you were angry at the system, that the public health system that you'd been brought up to respect had let you down?
Yeah.
You said in your statement, I've trusted that the system, including the medical professionals, would take care of me for years. My mum did too. That trust has gone, and I've been left feeling totally vulnerable as a person and completely let down. I feel particularly vulnerable because I now have to seek help from the system that has hurt me so badly. I simply can't trust it now.
That's right.
You've struggled to receive counselling and psychological therapy during this time. Can you tell us what provision has been given to you?
Obviously, I've had my tablets, depressant tablets. I've seen an hypnotherapist.
And you did that privately?
Privately, yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of NHS provision, what counselling and psychological support have you been given?
They just referred me to a Let's Talk service, which I had a few sessions with them, and it just wasn't right for me, really.
You had just three sessions with a counsellor?
I just didn't seem to be getting anywhere.
And now you're being seen by a mental health nurse, but that's relatively recent.
That's right, yeah.
And so until very recently, all you'd had was 3 sessions of counselling.
Yeah.
In terms of the ongoing monitoring of your liver, have you had a fibroscan since you cleared the virus?
No.
And you've said you feel you should be monitored more regularly.
More regularly, yeah.
What do you feel should be done?
I think they should just keep a regular check on me. It seems to be every year that I'm having these checks, and I think it should be more like every 6 months. I think he is far too much. You don't know what's going to happen in that year. Could get worse. You know.
Each year, since you cleared the virus, you've just gone to your GP for some blood tests, not for a fibroscan.
Not for a fibroscan, no.
And that's something that you've had to initiate. You've had to sort out.
I've had to sort out, yeah.
And what you feel is you should be monitored by the hospital every 6 months.
That's right, yeah.
Until about 2016, you didn't tell anyone about your infection. Why was that?
I just felt dirty. My wife knew, my parents, but like my friends and stuff, they didn't know.
You were worried about what would happen on social media as well, I think.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Can you tell us what you were worried about?
Just about all the backlash and, probably losing friends. But since I've come out of it, it's been fun. Especially meeting people in like the groups that, you guys that are here today, and it's been, it's helped me a lot actually. But yeah, I just didn't want to, just kept it secret.
You said in your statement you were worried about being trolled on Facebook, or being bullied or harassed about it.
That's right.
You're now married with children. What was the impact of your infection on them, on your children?
They're fine.
In terms of your relationship with your partner and your children?
Yeah, they're all fine.
You've said that it was hard for you to be a partner and father that you wanted to be. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, because obviously it's like, I can't really do much with my children because I just get too tired. My motivation, I've got just no motivation. And I want to do more with children, but it just doesn't happen.
And you've said that your mum and grandparents have worried about you a lot, and that's caused difficulties in your relationship with them as well.
Yeah.
In 2015, you wrote to the Hospital Trust raising concerns about the original transfusion.
That's right.
Could we have document 1963006, please? This is the response you received, and if we can look at paragraphs 3 and 4, there was the Chief Executive was asked to convey to you the following information from your treating consultant. Transmission of viruses via blood transfusion was a worldwide problem until the mid-1980s, when it was known as non-A, non-B hepatitis. Hepatitis C was not identified until 1989. In England and Wales, blood began to be heat-treated to destroy any viruses during 1985 and slightly later than this in Scotland. According to our records, you were given blood in 1988, and this was done in the belief that the blood from the transfusion service was safe and heat-treated. We have formally requested if the blood transfusion service could trace the blood given to you, but they do not keep records this far back. As our investigations stand, we acknowledge that it may have been the blood transfusion that caused your hepatitis C infection. If this is the case, we sincerely apologise. However, we're unable to confirm this. How did you feel when you received this letter?
I was angry. Especially like with a blood transfusion service. How come they can't trace it? There's got to be something there. And yeah, I was just angry.
Because you have the blood numbers.
I've got the blood numbers, yeah. So why can't it be traced? This is what I need to know, and it's ridiculous.
Because you're clear that there's no other risk factors, there's no other way in your mind that you could have contracted the hepatitis C.
That's right.
But you would like more definitive confirmation that it was the transfusion.
Yeah.
You have received some financial assistance from the Skipton Fund and from Caxton, and more recently you applied for special category mechanism payments because of your mental health condition. That was refused. Can you tell us why?
They didn't have enough evidence.
Of what?
On the forms that my specialist put in.
So your specialist had filled in the forms for you and put in information about your mental health condition.
That's right, yeah.
But the form was rejected because and you appealed, and so it was there wasn't enough evidence that on the balance of probabilities your mental health condition was caused by the hepatitis C, and that's why they rejected it.
And that's why they rejected it.
When that was rejected, you had a phone conversation with them.
That's right.
What did they say to you?
Told me to apply for the stage 2 application.
So they'd rejected the special category mechanism.
Yeah.
But on the phone they said you should be applying for stage 2.
Yeah.
And they sent you the application form.
Sent me the application form. Sent it off to my specialist. She filled it out. And it took about a month to get it back from the specialist. Sent it off to this. And they rejected it.
Do you know why they rejected it?
They didn't say.
And you've now applied again for the special category mechanism payment.
That's right.
Again on the basis of your mental health condition.
Yeah. But that is with my specialist at the minute.
So you're just waiting to send it off again?
Yeah.
How have you found the process of dealing with EIBSS through this?
A nightmare.
Can you tell us a bit more about
Yeah.
why?
They just seem to be wanting too much. Because it's always, every time you apply for things off them, it's always go see your GP or go see your specialist. Now, when you go see them, it could take months to get a letter off them or any form of anything. It's just like a waiting game. It's just.
You said to me earlier that you'd found it very difficult to understand what was required of you as well.
That's right, yeah. Because every time, obviously, when you fill these forms out, it always says, "Is this caused by your hepatitis?" You know, and then obviously when you send it into your specialist, they're going, "Oh well, we don't know." So you've got it's just like a fighting battle with them. I don't think it's right.
Because you're clear that your mental health difficulties started with the diagnosis of hepatitis C, but the clinicians can't say for sure what caused your depression.
That's right, yeah.
Those are all the questions I have for you. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
I'm just going to turn to Ms Gibbs, who, as you know, represents you, to see if she has any points she wants me to raise. Just 2 points that Ms Gibbs would like me to raise with you. Can you tell us how the infection has impacted on your education and work?
Yeah, it's obviously I haven't worked for a long time. First job was being a red coat at Butlins, and I was only there 6 months.
And what made you stop work there?
I just couldn't cope. I was too distressed, but I was just more tired than anything, because obviously it was long hours, but this was before I found out that I had the hepatitis C. This was 2002. Obviously I didn't know nothing about that. I had the hepatitis C then, so that's.
And because of that lack of regular income, you've struggled to have any form of credit scoring and mortgages and things.
That's right, yeah.
And secondly, even though you've now cleared the virus, what fears do you still have for your family and your children?
I think it's like if I ever bleed or anything, I still think I've got it, to be honest. It's just, I don't like to be too close near them when things like that happen. That's my biggest fear. You know, I'm still having to. Yeah, that's my biggest fear.
You're still fearful that you'll infect them?
Yeah.
Because you're worried that although it's cleared, it hasn't gone away?
Yeah.
I think you said earlier to Ms Gibbs that you were scared of even kissing and cuddling your
That's
children.
right, yeah.
Sir, do you have any further questions?
Yes, I do. You said in your evidence that you'd lost trust in the system, including medical professionals. What in particular do you think they did that caused you to lose trust?
Obviously, they never told me that about the blood transfusion. It's just that it's been going on and they've sort of like lied about it, sort of type thing. And that's when they put that blood into me, never told me. That's my trust just. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Darren, for telling us your story. It can't have been easy for you, so thank you very much for coming and doing that.
No problem, thank you.
Now, Ms Fraser-Butlin, that's the last witness, I think, for today.
It is, sir.
Who do we have tomorrow?
Tomorrow we'll be hearing from Leslie McAvoy, Leroy Scarlett and Sean Nevin.
Thank you. And we start
Sorry,
at 10:30.
Sean and Ellen and Evan, apologies.
Thank you. And we start at 10:30. So 10:30 tomorrow.